Hello everyone, this is Abhishek Mohanty and welcome to lecture number 22 of the chapter Electric Charge and Field. Students, in this lecture we'll solve few questions from your NCERT exercise. So let's get started. So students, look at the first question. It is question number 1.22. The question is, a uniformly charged conducting sphere of 2.4 meter diameter has a surface charge density of 80 microcoulomb per meter square. So you have to find the charge on the sphere, and then you have to find what is the total electric flux leaving the surface of the sphere. So it is given that the diameter of a sphere, a conducting sphere, is 2.4 meter. So the radius will be how much? It will be d by 2, that is equal to 1.2 meter. So this is the radius of the conducting sphere, and this conducting sphere is positively charged, and the surface charge density is 80 microcoulomb per meter square. So sigma is how much? Sigma is 80 microcoulomb per meter square. That means 80 into 10 to the power minus 6 coulomb per meter square. This is the surface charge density. We have to find what is the charge on the sphere. So to find the charge on the sphere, we have to calculate what is the surface area of the sphere. So the surface area is how much? 4 pi r square. The radius is given, so you can find what is the surface area, that is 4 pi r square, and the total charge will be how much? Sigma into a. So sigma is given and r is given. So first calculate what is the area and then multiply this area with the surface charge density to calculate the total amount of charge on the sphere. Now this next point is, you have to calculate what is the total amount of electric flux leaving the surface of the sphere. So remember that if a body is positively charged, then electric flux leaves the surface, or we can say that it is the outward electric flux. So to find the electric flux, the formula is Q by epsilon naught. Using the Gauss law, we can easily calculate what is the electric flux in this formula, phi equal to Q by epsilon naught. So first you have to calculate Q and then put the value of Q here, and you know the value of epsilon naught, which is how much? Epsilon naught is equal to 8.854 into 10 to the power minus 12. So by putting this value in this formula, you can easily calculate what is the total amount of electric flux. So students, the calculation part is up to you. You have to do all the calculation. I'll only give you the process and the hints to solve various type of questions. So now we'll go to the next one. So now look at the next question. The question is 1.21. A conducting sphere of radius 10 centimeter has an unknown charge. Means we don't know what is the value of charge and what is the nature of charge, whether the charge is positive or negative. We don't know about it. If the electric field 20 centimeter from the center of the sphere is 1.5 into 10 to the power 3 Newton per coulomb and points radially inward, then what is the net charge on the sphere? So it is given that the radius of the sphere is how much? It is 10 centimeter, and it contains an unknown charge. Means the amount, the magnitude of charge is unknown, and the nature of charge, whether it is positive or negative, that is also unknown. But it is given that the electric field at a distance of 20 centimeter from the center of the sphere is this much, 1.5 into 10 to the power 3 Newton per coulomb, and it points radially inward. So from this hint, from this clue, you can predict that the charge is negative, because if a body is negatively charged, then the electric field will be radially inward. So we have a sphere like this. This sphere has radius 10 centimeter, and the electric field at a distance of 20 centimeter from it is how much? Equal to 1.5 into 10 to the power 3 Newton per coulomb, and it is directed radially inward. Is that clear? So we know that the expression for electric field due to a conducting sphere at a distance r from its center is given by E equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. Is that clear? The point lies outside the sphere, so this is the formula. E equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. So E is given 1.5 into 10 to the power 3 Newton per coulomb, and 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is 9 into 10 to the power 9 into write q here divided by r square. R is the distance of the point from the center of the sphere, which is 20 centimeter. So r equal to 20 centimeter. It means 20 into 10 to the power minus 2 meter, that is equal to 2 into 10 to the power minus 1 meter. So r square will be how much? 2 into 10 to the power minus 1 square. Is that clear? So you have this equation now, and by solving this equation you can calculate q. So from this equation you can get the magnitude of the charge, and from this term radial inward it is clear that the charge is negative. So students, in this way we can solve this question, and now we'll proceed to the next one. Now look at the next question. The question is, in a certain region of space, electric field is along the j direction throughout. The magnitude of electric field is however not constant, but increases uniformly along the positive j direction at the rate of 10 to the power 5 Newton per coulomb per meter. What are the force and torque experienced by a system having a total dipole moment equal to 10 to the power minus 7 coulomb into meter in the negative z direction? So in the question it is given that an electric field exists along the z direction, but the electric field is not constant or not uniform. Rather, the electric field increases with distance. And what is the rate of increase of electric field? The rate of increase of electric field is the rate of increase of electric field is how much? It is 10 to the power 5 Newton per coulomb per meter. Is that clear? It means if you move a distance of 1 meter, then the electric field will increase, and it increases along the positive z direction. Is that clear? Suppose I will draw the z axis. Let us say that this point is the origin, and this is the z axis. This is the z axis, and this is the positive z axis. Is that clear? So if this is the origin, then this is the positive z axis and this is the negative z axis. Suppose electric field at the origin is E, then if you cover a distance of 1 meter, let us say at this point, suppose the point A is at a distance of 1 meter from the origin, then if we move 1 meter along the positive z direction, this is the z direction, if we move along the positive z direction by a distance of 1 meter, then the electric field will increase by this amount, 10 to the power 5 Newton per coulomb. So at point A, the electric field will be how much? It will be E plus 10 to the power 5 Newton per coulomb. E plus 10 to the power 5 Newton per coulomb. Is that clear? And the electric field is along the z direction. So if we want to write the unit vector, you can write k cap here. So we have a system which has a total dipole moment equal to 10 to the power minus 7 coulomb into meter. So we have an electric dipole, and the dipole moment P is equal to how much? 10 to the power minus 7 coulomb into meter. Okay, and we have to find what is the total force acting on it and what is the total torque acting on the dipole. So for our mathematical simplicity, let us assume that we have an electric dipole like this. We have an electric dipole, minus q and plus q are the two charges, and suppose the distance between the two charges is 1 meter, or the dipole length is 1 meter, means 2a is equal to 1 meter. So if we take the dipole length as 1 meter, then since the dipole moment is 10 to the power minus 7 coulomb into meter, what will be the value of the magnitude of charge? We know that P equal to Q into 2A. P equal to Q into 2A. P is given as 10 to the power minus 7 coulomb into meter, that is equal to Q into 2A is 1 meter. So what will be the value of Q? Q will be equal to 10 to the power minus 7 coulomb. So this is the magnitude of the charge in the dipole. And the dipole moment is in the negative z direction, in the negative z direction. So we have to place the two charges at a distance of 1 meter, and we have to place the two charges in such a way that the dipole moment will be in the negative z direction. And for that we have to place minus q charge here and plus q charge here. And the distance between these two charges is how much? It is 1 meter, and the dipole moment is always from negative to the positive charge, and this is the dipole moment direction in the negative z direction. Is that clear? And the magnitude of charge is 10 to the power minus 7 coulomb. So we have to find what is the total force experienced by the dipole. So first we have to find what is the force on the negative charge. So F minus Q vector is equal to how much? This will be equal to minus Q into electric field at A, because the negative charge is placed at A. So electric field at A is how much? E plus 10 to the power 5. So you can write E plus 10 to the power 5, and the direction of electric field is along the z direction, that's why I can write k cap here. Is that clear? This much Newton is the force acting on the negative charge particle. And what is the force on the positive charge particle? F plus q vector equal to how much? Plus q charge is located at the point O, and at this point electric field is E. So you can write q into E, and the direction is k cap. So this is the expression for F plus q. Now what is the total force? The total force is how much? F vector is equal to F minus q vector plus F plus q vector. So F minus q vector is how much? Minus q into E plus 10 to the power 5 into k cap. And what is F plus q? F plus q is q E k cap. So you can write this as minus q E k cap, then minus q into 10 to the power 5 k cap plus q E k cap. So minus q E k cap and plus q E k cap will cancel each other, and then we have this expression that minus q is how much? 10 to the power minus 7 coulomb into 10 to the power 5 Newton per coulomb into k cap, that is equal to, it will be 10 to the power minus 2 Newton in the minus k cap direction, means the total force acting on the dipole will be in the negative z direction. So this is the expression for the total force. And what is the torque? You can see that in this diagram the dipole moment is anti-parallel to the electric field. So we know that the expression for the torque is tau equal to Pe sin theta, and here theta is equal to 180 degree. So the torque will be 0, means no torque acts on the system, or no torque acts on the dipole. So students, in this way we can solve this question, and now we'll proceed to the next. Now look at the next question. It is question number 1.28. The question is, a conductor A with a cavity as shown in the figure is given a charge capital Q. So we have this conductor, the conductor is A, and it has a cavity here. This is the cavity in the conductor, and we have supplied a charge capital Q to this conductor. Show that the entire charge must appear on the outer surface of the conductor. So we have to prove that, or we have to show that if we supply Q amount of charge to the conductor, this charge will lie on the outer surface of the conductor. And then the next question is, another conductor B with a charge small q is inserted into the cavity, keeping B insulated from A. So that the total charge on the outside surface A of A is capital Q plus small q. And the third question is, a sensitive instrument is to be shielded from the strong electrostatic fields in its environment. Suggest a possible way. So let us first solve the first question, the bit A. So it is given that we have a conductor A and it has a cavity here. So if we supply a charge capital Q, we have to prove that the total charge will lie on the outer surface of the conductor. So students, we already know that the electric field inside a conductor is zero. Electric field inside a conductor is 0, and we also know that electric field inside a cavity is 0. Electric field in a cavity is 0. Is that clear? So if we supply a charge capital Q on to this conductor, then the charge will definitely reside on the surface. How? Let us assume, or let us consider a Gaussian surface which is very close to this outer surface. Now I will draw a Gaussian surface like this, which is very close to the outer surface, or we can say that which lies just below the outer surface. This is the Gaussian surface I am drawing. Is that clear? So now I will find the surface integral of electric field over this Gaussian surface. So E dot ds closed surface integration will be how much? It will be 0. Why? Because inside the conductor electric field is 0. Inside the conductor electric field is 0, and that's why this quantity, the surface integral of electric field, will be 0 because E is 0. And we know that this is nothing but the electric flux. So electric flux is 0, and we know that phi equal to Q by epsilon naught, means total charge enclosed by the surface by epsilon naught. Since electric flux is 0, that implies Q is also 0. It means the Gaussian surface, does not enclose any charge. Gaussian surface does not enclose any charge. It means inside this Gaussian surface there is no charge present. It means whatever charge is given to the conductor lies outside the Gaussian surface, and outside the Gaussian surface means what? On the outer surface of the conductor, So if we supply a charge capital Q, the charge will definitely reside or definitely lie on the outer surface of the conductor. Is that clear? So in this way you can prove the first bit. Now look at the second bit. Another conductor B with a charge small q is inserted into the cavity, keeping B insulated from A. So look at the second diagram here. We have another conductor, a small conductor B, and this small conductor B carries a small positive charge small q, and this conductor carrying charge small q is placed inside the cavity. But remember that this B is insulated from A. There is no electrical contact between the two conductors. We have to show that the total charge on the outer or on the outside surface of A is Q plus Q. So how to prove it? We know that if we place a second conductor which is already charged, the charge small q is placed in the cavity. What will happen? Due to electrostatic induction, a negative charge minus q will be induced on this side. A negative charge minus q will be induced on this side, and a positive charge plus q will be induced on the outer side. Is that clear? Let me draw the diagram here. So this is a random shape conductor, and here we have a cavity. Initially the total charge on the conductor is capital Q. Now if I place a charge small q inside the cavity, what will happen? Negative charge minus q charge will be induced on the near end, and a plus q charge will be induced on the outer surface. So initially we had a charge capital Q, and due to induction we will get another charge plus q. So the total charge will be capital Q plus small q. Now look at the last bit here, the third question. A sensitive instrument is to be shielded from the strong electrostatic field in its environment. Suggest a possible way. So suppose we have an instrument, and we have to protect that instrument from some external electric field. Then we can place that instrument inside the cavity, because we know that the electric field inside the cavity of a conductor is 0. So in this region electric field is 0, and that's why if we place the sensitive instrument inside the cavity, it will not be damaged, or it will be protected from the external electric field. So this is the possible way to protect the sensitive instrument from any external electric field. So in this way you can answer to this question, and now we'll proceed to the next one. So now look at the next question. This is the last question of this session. So the question is 1.26. Which among the curves shown in the figure cannot possibly represent electrostatic field lines? So there are three diagrams given, A, B and C, and we have to say whether which diagram does not represent the electric field lines correctly. So look at the first diagram here. We have a conductor of any random shape, and this conductor is given positive charges, and these blue color arrow mark, they represent electric field lines. So we have to prove that whether these electric field lines are correct or not. So students, we know that electric field lines are always perpendicular to the surface of a conductor. Remember this point, that electric field lines are always perpendicular to the surface of a conductor, okay. And look at the diagram here. These electric field lines are not perpendicular to the surface. That's why this diagram is wrong. The electric field lines must be perpendicular to the surface of conductor, and that's why this diagram is incorrect. Now look at the second one, the second diagram B. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 point charges: positive, negative, positive, 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 and these are the electric field lines drawn. And it is obvious that all this diagram is incorrect, because if you look at the first segment, then it is correct, because electric field line starts from positive and they end on negative. That is correct. But look at this one. We have a negative charge here, and the electric field lines are starting from negative charge. This is not possible. Is that clear? And similarly, look at the third segment here. The electric field lines are starting from positive and ending at positive also. So remember that electric field lines can never start from negative or can never end at positive. So this diagram is incorrect. Look at the third diagram. See, this one is correct, because we have two positive point charges, and we know that the two positive charges, they repel each other, and that's why the electric field lines will exert a lateral pressure on them. and the arrow mark is outward, it means the electric field lines, they emerge out of the positive charge. So the third diagram is correct, while the first two diagrams are not correct. So students, in this way you can solve these questions. We have discussed few NCERT questions which are very important, and in the next class I will come with some more numericals. We have some of the very good questions in your NCERT book, in the exercise as well as in the additional exercise. So we'll try to cover all those questions which are very important, and there are many easy questions as well, so you have to try to solve those easy questions on your own, but I'll help you to solve the important questions which are little bit difficult, not difficult actually, but they are more conceptual. So we'll again meet in the next class. Till then, have a nice day and